John Barnes' family have hit back at claims he made a homophobic comment during last night's show. Viewers were outraged after John explained his views on homosexuality to Shane Jeanette. In the conversation, John said, "I know it shouldn't be that way, but men are comfortable just being in a room with a woman, but with gays they don't come with a gay man. They assume he's definitely going to want to have with me. And that's why men aren't comfortable with gay men. They think, I wonder if he's thinking about me without my clothes on." After the huge social media backlash, John's family released a statement on the issue. They said, "As John's friends and family, we felt strongly that an alternative narrative regarding the discussion between John and Shane J aired on Saturday night should be presented. The motivation for this is that the way the conversation was presented on the show, the subsequent media coverage and the social media backlash have been highly distressing, as the popular interpretation is completely out of keeping with our experience of John. We have written this statement as our own interpretation of the events and acknowledge that we may be wrong, but encourage those interested to consider these points before making their minds up. It seems quite clear to us from the discussion as presented on the show that John is not offering the statements as reflections of his own feelings but in his explanation, but not justification, of the mentality that can cause some straight men to hold homophobic beliefs." The initial comment, which started the subsequent conversation with Shane J. "Kick him out the club," is far more likely a satirical comment on the barriers to experimentation in young, straight-identifying men than a statement of intent on John's part, bad taste notwithstanding. Indeed, Shane J. started the later conversation by acknowledging that the comments were made in jest, but sought further clarification of his position. This interpretation is entirely in keeping with our experience of discussing similar topics with John, and also with his approach to discussing racism in private and public. The statement continued, "John has always been interested in understanding the motivation behind various forms of prejudice rather than simply condemning it outright and shutting down any further dissection. This has been his approach to discussions around racism consistently over the years, and, from discussions we have had, we feel that he considers this to be a far more production route to resolving problems like racism, ism, homophobia and transphobia than simply virtue signaling and forcing the opposition into silence while not making them understand why their position is wrong." Anyone who has seen John speak will know that he is not one for sound bites but prefers nuanced and detailed discussion, which of course can leave one vulnerable in the TV editing process. When John acknowledges that "I cannot think that naturally," mentions being a product of his environment, and things we know to be wrong, "we can't help thinking that," etc., it seems far more likely that he is talking in a wider context about the influences behind prejudice in general rather than offering up an explanation for homophobic statements. Having only seen an edited version of the conversation, it is hard to be sure about this. Thinking about the words John has used in this context, our feelings about the conversation are as follows. There are two potential interpretations of John's comments. One is that, having privately and publicly spoken out against prejudice for many years, he had a blind spot for prejudice on the grounds of equality. He also has so little insight into this contradiction that he has chosen to voice these opinions to a gay man on national television and expects that it is satisfactory to justify them on the grounds that he is 54 years old, is a product of his environment, and can't help thinking the way he does. By Ed Pick, Cherry Meet Ed Sheeran C and Sporty Fiancé, and celebs who got away, Poltergeist Toy Studio, haunted by creepy presents, as fans are engulfed by Mystery Miss Naomi's rapper Toy Boy Naomi Campbell, 47, secretly dating grime artist Skepta, 35, Dua One singer Dua Lipa splits with boyfriend, and is already messaging her model ex Tough Show with Jungle Crush Stanley Johnson. Tonight Was Mad. YouTubers break into CBB house and film celebs in huge security breach. An alternative explanation, which happens to tie in with our personal experience of John's previously stated thoughts and feelings, and also with his public stance on discrimination, is that he was critiquing the views that many people do hold and analyzing the motivations and influences behind them. We may yet be proved wrong, and, on leaving the house, John may forthrightly confirm that he has secretly held these views and has chosen to use his platform on CBB to announce them to the world. Only time will tell. Got a story? Email digishowbiz@the-sun.co.uk or call us direct on 0207 782 4220. We pay for videos too. Click here to upload yours.